Good. After that, we can head back to R&D and use the key on the safe where we can find the Nuka-Cola Clear formula along with... Now, it is worth mentioning, Nuka-Cola Clear is not actually a recipe. It's not something we can actually create. It's considered a miscellaneous item, and it's an item that has a purpose at a different location. The Red Rocket Tricycle Factory. So that's right, everyone. We're just continuing our journey just slightly to the north from the Nuka-Cola factory. Hello, everyone. The Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Capital Wasteland. Today, we're going to be checking out Red Racer Factory, also known as the Red Racer Tricycle Factory. Now, if you want to meet the Raider gang here, sudden death overtime, then you need to head to the Nuka-Cola plant first and recover the recipe for Nuka-Cola Clear. This is part of the unmarked quest just for the taste of it. So if you want to meet them, then you can check out my previous video on how to get Nuka-Cola Clear. But if you don't, if you already got it, or you just want to see the location, then let's dive on into it. Now, the Red Racer Factory is just northeast of the Nuka-Cola plant, just southwest of Falls Church Metro, kind of in the southwestern part of Washington, D.C. Now, in this area, there's going to be a lot of raiders, especially as you make your way from the Nuka-Cola plant to the Red Racer Factory. So just be aware, but I mean, at this point, for me at least, raiders are awfully easy to dispatch of. Now, as I made my way from the Nuka-Cola plant to the Red Racer Factory, I came up upon this hill here, and there's a very large parking lot just below the factory. I imagine this is where the employees at the factory used to park, and there was a couple of raiders inside of the parking lot, but we went ahead and got rid of them. Then, as we approach the Red Racer Factory, we can find a gang standing outside that calls themselves Sudden Death Overtime. Now, Mr. Ledoux here will be a little bit upset that his friend or partner, Mercer, is dead, but it's not our fault that he is dead. He just died in the Nuka-Cola plant. Now, Ledoux here mentions that now they don't have enough players for an ice hockey team. However, you need 6 players, at least at the bare minimum, on the ice for an ice hockey team, and they only have 3. With Mercer, they would have 4, so they're still short a couple of players. Anyways, Ledoux tells us that his ancestors were ice hockey players, and that he's trying to kind of keep this tradition alive. And he also really wants the Nuka-Cola Crystal formula, and we can sell it to him for some caps. Now, he will initially offer us 250 caps. If you have a high enough speech, we can increase that to 400 caps. So, hey, not bad. After this, the gang will just run off, and no problem. Now, if you don't accept the caps, well, they will attack you, and then you have to kill them. And as you may have seen at the beginning, for whatever reason, when they decided to leave, Ledoux got stuck behind the stairs, and then he was just kind of hanging out here. And we'll talk a little bit more about Ledoux later, but he wouldn't leave this area. Don't know why, don't know if that's a normal glitch, but just thought I'd point it out. Then if we head over to the east, we can find this alley where there's a bunch of raider guard dogs, and also there is a lone raider inside there with a missile launcher, so do be careful in case he starts firing missiles at you. However, since I was so close to him, like proximity-wise, he could not fire those missiles at me, so that made my life a lot easier. He tried to switch to his flamethrower, but that didn't work, and then his body and head went flying. I have no clue why that is. We can also find a bunch of those tricycles here, which were obviously made in the Red Racer Factory. Now, in this alley, we can find a copy of Guns and Bullets, along with some stim packs on this little shelf here. And then there's a refrigerator with some alcohol and stuff in it. We can find some Mentats over here. And then there's a human skull on the table there, not unsettling at all. Now, if we head over near the bed, we can find an average locked gun case along with U.S. Army 30 recipes, which is really good. However, there was nothing in the gun case for me, so I just wasted my time. But anyways, there's also some ammunition boxes and a bed we can sleep in to heal ourselves. And just to the south of the Red Racer Factory, we can find this overturned crate, and inside there is Grognak the Barbarian and a dead Wastelander that had some healing supplies on her. And when I was exploring the west side of the building near the loading dock, something really weird happened. So I have no idea where this missile came from, just really freaking random, but it like flew across the map and blew up next to me, kind of weird. But besides that, there's really nothing of interest around the factory. Now when I came back Ledo was still here, and you can actually kill Ledo in order to take his hockey mask, Ledo's hockey mask, and the reason you might want to do this is because it gives you plus 25 action points, which is not half bad if I do say so myself. Also, you can take back the Nuka-Cola Clear formula. Now, once inside the actual Red Racer factory, you're going to find a labyrinth of factory floors. I actually found this place to be quite confusing, but I'll do my best to guide you through it so we can find all of the loot. Now, immediately when you enter, if you go to the right, well, you're not going to find anything worth looting, but you will find a ghoul, so make sure you get rid of him. But I couldn't find anything that was worth my time over here, besides just killing the enemy. Now, back towards the main entrance, if we just go straight, we're going to find a small factory room where there are some tricycles, and here there are 2 barrels. You're going to want to jump up on these barrels. Using the barrel that is standing up, we can jump up here, and you're going to find a toolbox and some other loot, and then we can find a copy of Dean's Electronics and some Mentats. And right next to it, we can find an unusually large teddy bear, but make sure you have no other teddy bears in your inventory, and then you can pick it up. And then this tricycle is also unusually large, and then you can just, well, do nothing with it besides pick it up and not put it in your inventory, like physically pick it up. Now, if we go over here towards these offices, we can find a safe that is like fallen from the ceiling or something. Anyways, we can pick it up, and we can find some caps and pre-war money inside of it. Now, if we keep making our way, we're going to find a fuck ton of ghouls, so do be ready for a pretty long kind of fight, but not too difficult. Now, one thing you'll notice in here is when you kill enemies, their heads fucking blow up, and we'll find out why that is later in the video, but just something you'll notice. You might hear a beeping sound, but it's okay. As we make our way towards the eastern part of the facility, towards the north in one corridor, we can find a bottle cap mine, so you can pick it on up. Now, in this next area, we can find the cafeteria. However, there wasn't a whole lot of interest in this area besides a medical kit, but we can also find some tables and stuff where obviously employees used to eat lunch or maybe dinner if they're working overtime during their shifts. And over here by the refrigerators, we can find the first aid box. But for the time being, this is all the loot we can find on the factory floor. So you're going to make your way upstairs and just start taking out the ghouls. There will be a safe in this office area that you can obviously pick. It's only an easy lock, and we can find some ammunition and pre-war money. But yeah, like I said, you're going to want to go ahead and kill all of the ghouls up on this level. On the second level, the ghouls get a little bit stronger. Also, they are leveled to your level. While I was over here next to this toolbox, I found my worst enemy, a feral ghoul reaver. These things have so much health, and then I fell down to the first level. I had to walk all the way around, come back up, and just find this ghoul beating the shit out of dog meat. I ended up using a sword in order to kill him because I didn't want to waste a ton of ammo, because the Reaver is just a big bullet sponge, really, especially when you have a companion, because it just fights your companion like so. Then we found out dog meat is magical. He teleported up, or just started hovering up into the sky. But after killing the Reaver, we take his 5 bottle caps, and we want to head to the southernmost part of the upper level, where we can find the CEO offices. Now, on the second floor in the CEO offices, you're going to notice something weird. Now we're fighting super mutants. Before we had ghouls, but for whatever reason, the enemy has changed. Their heads will also, well, explode. Now, on the left here, we can find an average locked door, and inside we can find a copy of Nikola Tesla and you. So pretty good. Make sure you pick it up, and there's also some ammunition boxes and grenade boxes for some, ammunition, quite obviously. Then in the room across from us, we can find a, well, relatively empty room with a bunch of equipment, but we can find an average locked terminal. And there is a diary entry which reads, Diary Entry L2. I have used materials from the small explosives cache I found to further safeguard myself from my experiments. I have wired the building to broadcast a signal from this terminal that, in an emergency, will detonate all the chips. I pray that day never comes. So we can learn that somebody is using chips to control the minds of the enemies inside here. And using that terminal, you can actually detonate all the chips. But I didn't want to do that because I didn't know if I would get the XP from killing those enemies. So I continue to make my way through, and eventually come to this room where there's like a double staircase. And here you will find the surgeon. The surgeon is just a normal person who is obviously a mad scientist. On their body, we can find a missile launcher and the surgeon's key. so make sure you pick that up. Also, the surgeon's lab coat will increase your medicine by 10 and your science by 5, not half bad. And then here we can find the surgeon's laboratory, and in here we will find a mutilated body on the table there. We can come over here to the surgeon's table, and there's also a safe that we can unlock. Now over here we can find Stefan, and for whatever reason he's locked in this cage. We have to kill him. Don't really know why. He's a uniquely named ghoul. Now if you have a ghoul mask, the surgeon and Stefan will obviously be friendly to you. But in Stefan's cage we can find a Nuka-Cola Quantum. There's also a dead Wastelander who had some bobby pins and stim packs for me, not bad. Inside of the closet we can find some Kims inside of this wooden box, some Jet and Mentats. Additionally, there is one more safe in this room that we can use the surgeon's key to open. There's also a first aid box that had a stim pack for me. Now you might find some more super mutants down here, but if we go to this other room back on the first level, we can find some ammunition boxes. Also worth noting, in this room we can find the surgeon's notes, and this has 2 diary entries, the first of which reads, Diary entry 64D-A3 mutant chips. I have had to alter the chips for the mutants to account for their greater size. Fortunately, they exhibit a higher intellect than the ghouls and can be controlled to an even greater extent. The enthralled mutants have mentioned legends of even larger mutants, almost twice as big as the ones I've captured. If only I could get my hands on one of those, the experiments, the fun. So obviously the surgeon is talking about the super mutant behemoth right here, and that she wants to experiment on the behemoth. She thinks it would be really fun. Now the next diary entry, 2R-A0, reads, some of my earlier chip prototypes, C6-A and C6-L, have started to malfunction, causing the chips to overheat and eventually detonate the implanted charge. In retaliation, I have upgraded the P7 series and above to counter the malfunction. I have also altered the Y2 series in the mutants as a precaution. Ghouls are easily replaceable. Mutants are not. So obviously we can see that the surgeon had some problems with the earlier chip prototypes, but it seems like she has down her formula. Now as we come back from the CEO offices, we can continue following the path on the second floor, and there will be some glowing ones that we have to take out, ghouls that are of a higher level. Eventually though, you'll come to the end and you're going to find this room with a toilet. And I just wanted to mention it because in the room with a toilet, that's the best way I can describe it. This room is on the eastern part of the facility, and it's the only room with a toilet. We can jump on top of this roof here, and in between these 2 generators, there will be 2 buckets. The bucket that is facing down, we can pick up, and we can find a copy of a DC Journal of Internal Medicine. Pretty darn good, and definitely something you want to pick up if you're in here. Alright everyone, and that pretty much covers the entirety of the Red Racer factory, an old factory that used to produce tricycles. Of course, if you've played Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas, you've probably seen tricycles around those games. While we cannot put them in our inventories, we can still kind of play around with them by picking them up physically. And this is one of the many factories that produced those tricycles in the pre-war era. However, now this factory is occupied by the surgeon, who is well, they're actually a genius, being able to make sure that feral ghouls and super mutants fight for them. Maybe we should harness that ability, if you're an evil genius, that is. Let me know what you guys think of the Red Racer factory in the comments section below. And also, let me know what you think of sudden death overtime. Do you help them out? Do you kill them? What do you do with them? Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any recommendations or ideas for future videos, future locations, please post them in the comment section below. And as always, until next time.